Yeah, there you go. It's Randall.
I'm sorry.
Oh, here I am the week before New Year's. The weekend before, it's Wednesday. Made the trip down to Glendale to help Paul out. Something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Day 2 on this project. I didn't hardly get any video yesterday. It was kind of a crazy mess in here with the hose guys in here building all the lines for everything, and Paul and Randall were videoing a lot, so I didn't want to get in their way and distract them or spoil any video for them with my obnoxious voice in the background or my obnoxious face in the way as well. So anyway, I got quite a bit figured out yesterday. Didn't get anywhere near as much done as I'd hoped, or I was kind of just kind of had to go in and out to stay out of the other guys' way as much as possible, since they had to make the drive back to Grantsville last night in the snow. So hopefully they got home okay. But yeah, I got the most everything laid out. All those wires that are just laying across the engine harness will get loomed up once I get everything proofed to make sure it all works. So it will come into the fuse box here on the inside. So I got that all laid out. Most of it laid out last night and finished laying it the last little bit today. So that box I think can go in and I can start making connections and get a ignition relay set up. Paul's just going to use like a master switch and a push button, so the master switch will need to be on a relay so it doesn't burn out. But yeah, so anyway, a little bit more video of this. It's pretty cool. Paul's done a way good job setting everything up. All the details are pretty well thought out. I love the Ori brackets and the way you French those into the frame. They look really good and should be way strong. The YJ fuel tank looks good. Paul and Randall are headed to the big city of Kanab to grab some parts, and I need some wire. This wiring harness isn't quite as complete as we'd hoped, so I need some wire to run for the lights. So they should probably be back in an hour or so. So that gives me an hour and a half of quiet, uninterrupted. So I'm gonna get after it. Okay, we're finishing up day 2 on the wiring here. So I've kind of been chasing my tail a little bit on all of this, but getting a handle on it. So I've got power to this fuse box. I'm just lacking power to the FITech computer, so trying to get that figured out. I think I've got it isolated up into here, so I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I'll correct my mistake, or whoever's mistake it is. It doesn't really matter Randall's. At this point.
Blame Randall.
Yeah, there you go. It's Randall's.
I'm sorry. After you left the other night, I couldn't help myself.
I just got here with your
I had to mess with the grounds only. Yeah. I got under there and thought I'd help you out, Chad.
Yeah,
So.
all right. Well, I appreciate the help.
No problem.
We're coming along. We got all the fluids are in it now, and it's not leaking bad. We fixed the one leak we had. We're getting close.
We're getting there.
It might make noise.
Yeah,
soon.
Once I get this straightened around, I think we're going to be ready to make noise. So I'm hoping tonight, I may even stay out here after these guys go get their shower and see if I can focus and get everything wrapped up. And then I've got the fuse box and the wiring pretty well laid out inside the truck. So tomorrow we'll get all the wires ran for the headlights, turn signals, and then the tail lights and the fuel pump in the back. So and get that all. Hopefully we even get the turn signal switch wired up, so all Paul has to do is all those accessories and stuff, and I'm sure he's more than happy to handle that. So
yeah, this is a giant help what you're doing here. It was gonna take us forever.
I don't think we have the patience for it.
Oh yeah.
Your dad's the most patient man I know.
He's done a few LS harnesses in his day.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of complete vehicle harnesses, so,
Mhm.
yeah, but it's good, so.
Cool.
All right, awesome.
So we got the Golden Nugget over here too. This thing's pretty cool. We'll walk around with some FJ45 parts. It's like total modernized Suzuki. I don't even know what you call this thing. I think it's an LJ20 is what they told me. Using all the stuff, I think they Sidekick, I think, is where most of the donor parts came to modernize it and make it to where it's actually drivable, not an old two-stroke. It's pretty cool. A lot of hard work went into both of these. It's not a off-the-shelf part really that fits either of these projects. They're modifying everything.
Right, day 3. Still snowing outside. Guess you probably can't see through the window from the glare, but it snowed quite a bit since I've been here. I got here late Tuesday night, and it's now Friday morning. Probably won't be able to leave until first thing in the morning. I don't think the weather's good enough to travel today, but that's okay. We have plenty to do still here. Yesterday we got the wiring ironed out on the computer more or less. It was kind of weird. It's like they forgot to connect some ground wires in the harness, so I had to pull the harness apart and hook some grounds together to get grounds to the computer. I thought it might have been something I did when I put this sealed fuse box in, but I didn't mess with any grounds at all. The grounds are just here in the harness. There's one here and then one over on the back of the cylinder head on the other side. So kind of strange. So anyway, we got that taken care of. Got the but the problem I have now is the handheld won't communicate with the computer. I can tell the computer's working. You turn the key on and you can hear the computer doing its thing. It actuates the fuel pump relay. Here it actuates the idle air control motor, and so the computer is live, but it just won't communicate. So kind of an interesting issue. So we'll see what that ends up being. So, but everything's pretty well. I think everything's connected on that. So I think today I'm gonna get started on running wires for the front lights, and then run the wires to the back for the tail lights and the fuel pump, fuel level sender, and then the wire for the speed sensor for his gauges. He's got a set of Dakota gauges for it that are pretty cool. So they took I'll walk over here, still using the Nugget as my storage unit. Dakota put some stuff in the original style bezel, so that'll look really cool. And then the other thing that Dakota does is they use a box. If you ever installed anything Dakota, that's pretty much what they do on everything. They have a box similar to this in different sizes depending on what it is, and then you put all your powers and grounds and everything to it, and then it just uses like a Cat 5 cable to connect between the two devices. So okay, got everything wrapped up, managed to persevere through all the FITech stuff. The wrong intake manifold they sent us. We had to swap the intake yesterday and all the related stuff, and then we had stainless steel bolt seizing issues and just all the good stuff that makes you wonder and reflect on life's choices. So but everything's all tidied up. got everything ready to go. Everything's all labeled, so when Paul's ready to put his lights in, he's good there. Everything on the interior is wrapped up, tidied up, and labeled. So this should be good to go. This should make it pretty easy for him, and because he's still got a ton of work. In previous videos, I've had comments asking how I know Paul, and I met Paul through Darwin, Papa Dar to most of you, and Dar and I have been friends for close to 20 years. So Darwin has been talking to me about Paul for the last year or so, and that was about the time I found Fab Rats. Was about a year ago. I actually was on YouTube, and one of the videos that was suggested had the thumbnail had a picture of what looked like Papa Dar's Jeep. So I clicked on it and was intrigued to see it and see how Paul worked. So there's a lot of the things he did reminded me of things that the way I do things as well. So I watched, been watching his videos and talking to Darwin about his Jeep, and of course one thing led to another, and got introduced to Paul back in October, and you know, was really intrigued by Paul's FJ project. Not much of a Toyota guy, but that is such a unique build. I was able to well, Paul gave me the opportunity to come down and wire it up for him, so I went down between Christmas and New Year's. To my next bit of comments I want to address, there was probably at least a dozen comments asking how we didn't catch the intake manifold debacle before we did. Some of them weren't all that nice of comments either, I might add, but that's okay. On the outside looking in, it does seem like a pretty obvious thing to overlook. But in this case, when Paul ordered this FITech system, he ordered two identical systems, both cathedral port. One was for the FJ build, and the other was for a friend or a relative there in Glendale wanted a kit. So Paul ordered them both at the same time. So he never even looked at it. He just opened up the box, put the intake manifold on, it bolted on, no problem at all. So when we figured it out was after I figured out the harness, the wiring harness was bad. And as we were sitting there figuring out, trying to figure out how to fix the problem, Paul remembered that he had that other system, and it was just right there in Glendale, which blew me away, because Glendale, I mean, you don't even have phone service in Glendale. There was this unique fuel injection kit 10 minutes away. So anyway, he grabbed that, brought it back, and I pulled the harness out of the kit and powered it up, just did a bench test on it, and everything worked on it. So that definitely proved that the other harness was bad. So I ended up pulling that other harness out, throwing it away, and then I wired in the new harness. And as I was working on that, we figured out the vacuum hose thing, and that he shows in his video. So we were so focused on, I was focused on what I was doing with the wiring. He was focused on getting the vacuum hoses fixed so we could get it started and get out. So I finished up the wiring as he finished up the vacuum hoses and got the intake manifold bolted on. And so when we started it, it backfired through the intake ports, and I just figured he damaged one of the intake port O-rings. So when we pulled it off, pulled the intake manifold back off, didn't see anything wrong with the gaskets, but I got to looking at it, and it looked rectangular port to me. And I opened up the box from the kit that I'd robbed the harness out of, turned it over, and sure enough, the intake manifold that was in that kit was a cathedral port. So we ended up swapping everything, swapping the intake manifold over, and that took almost 2 hours. That's not something that he showed in his video. All of the hardware that FITech sent with the intake manifold was just garbage. It was all stainless steel, but it was cheap stainless steel, and we fought it because the bolts kept seizing up, even with anti-seize and doing all the proper stainless steel precautions. So took a bunch of time for us to do that and round up the right hardware to get it back on. So, but anyway, so at the end of all of this, I learned two things. Number one, don't buy a FITech. They suck. And number two, don't ever take anything for granted. Even though you know what you ordered, you always look at it, because somebody can pull the wrong part or mispackage it. So Paul does have a new Holly harness and computer waiting with the correct long runner intake manifold. So that was the other thing that Paul learned, is the short runner intakes kill torque. And also look forward to keep an eye on Paul's channel. He's ordering parts for his new engine combination for the FJ, so he'll talk about that when the time is right. So look forward to that. So anyway, thanks for watching.